Hello, my name is Bill Isenhart. I'm the repair tech at Martin Music on North 21st Street in Newark. And today I'm going to talk to you about what I think every flute player should know and what every flute player should do to their flute. First of all, every flute player needs to have just a plain white cotton handkerchief in their case to clean their flute after they play it every time. Some kids put these bandanas in there which are huge, which I don't really like. I would like you to maybe cut those in half and hem the side. If they get too big, you don't want to crowd the flute. This is small enough and thin enough that it can just lay in the case, and the case will close nice and easy without crowding the flute. If it doesn't close easy and crowds the instrument, don't use that rag. You need something fairly thin. So every time you play the flute, especially the head joint, you will take your cleaning rod, which everybody needs to have, and thread the end of the cloth through the cleaning rod. Then I cover the cleaning rod. I do not want this steel metal rod. Some are aluminum, some are plastic, whatever. I still don't want it scratching the inside of the flute. So I wrap this around the rod so there's no metal shows. Go up inside the flute like that, like that. That's all you need to do. Go in the head joint. Easy, don't cram it too hard. There's a cork up here and you can push that out if you're too violent. Your cork's a little loose, spin around a little bit. Sometimes I go in the aperture just a little bit. And that's all there is to it. And I wipe off pieces of skin and grease from my lip and put it away. That's all you need to do as far as cleaning. Another thing I would like you to maybe check once in a while is the position of your head cork. Now this is a flute that needs repair and the head cork is really not good in this one, but there's a line. This is your cleaning rod, and it's called a tuning rod because there is a line in the opposite end from where you put your cloth. There's a little line carved into there, and when you place this in the head joint gently, it should appear right in the center of the aperture. If it doesn't, then you need to adjust your head cork. Now this one happens, the head corks get loose after a while, they shrink, so if I push on this, you'll notice this head cork comes right out. Shouldn't do that. So this head cork probably needs to be replaced. Anyway, so hopefully your head cork will be nice and tight in there, and you won't have to mess with it, but what will happen is I'll put a new head cork on there and fit it. I'll put it on a drill and sand it down till it fits. The head corks are usually way too big. I'll put it up in there and push it in until that line appears right in the center of the aperture there, and then put the crown in. You want to be careful you don't tighten your crown too tight. It'll just pull that cork out. Just keep it snug and check your head cork once in a while. If your head cork is loose, you'll have to have it replaced. Okay, we're going to talk now. I want to talk about how a pad is made and what you should know about your pads. Pads on a flute are a circle of cardboard, a circle of felt, and then a paper covering. This is an old pad which I'm going to take apart. You notice there's a hole in the middle. Bundy flutes and some other brands will have a little plastic snap that holds that in place. Isenhart flutes and other brands have a screw and a little washer that holds that into place. But I'm going to take this one apart for you, if I can see what I'm doing here. There we go. I'm going to take and cut this apart and just show you. Here's the circle of felt that's in there. Here's the paper covering over this cardboard. Now many flutes are double skinned, which there's two skins on there, so if you have a small cut in one skin, you may still be okay. The pad sets on a little chimney on the flute. You can see here there's little chimneys sticking up where each hole is, and the pad must set perfectly flat on there. And what we do is when we get the pad on there and get it level as best we can, we wet the pad, put a clamp on there, and sometimes we run hot air through there, or we leave it go overnight, and a seat will form, a little indent, a circular indent in the pad. That's where it sets against the stack on the flute. So if you look at your flute and you see nice circles impressed in the pads, that's a good thing. If you do not see any circles and your flute's not playing very well, we may need to have your pads reseated. Another thing you should do, I would encourage you to do, is watch our video about rods and pivot screws on a flute, so you'll understand what holds the keys on and how to tighten those up if they become loose. On many flutes there are small adjustment screws on I think there's 4 of them on this flute right here, and some of them have more than those. I would recommend you do not touch those. If you turn those even a quarter of a turn, you can mess up the adjustment on your flute. Okay, we talked about pads, and I showed you the skin on the pad and the felt. When you're cleaning your flute, you need to be careful. Your skin is very, very rough. So I have a cotton cloth that I put inside the flute every time I am done playing. The flute is cold, your breath comes out almost 100 degrees, full of water. The hot, moist air goes into your flute, water sticks inside the flute. A very small amount of saliva goes in there. In the saliva are some food particles and some sugar from the last meal you had. If you take this rag through there, it comes right out. It's not a problem. The only problem is if you leave it dry in there time after time after time, you can have lots of problems sticking pads. Your instrument can develop a bad odor, and you can have all kinds of problems. So it takes a few seconds to stick that rag in there, get most of the moisture out, and put it away. Okay, I recommend that every flute player have a polishing cloth. Now this is a cloth especially designed to polish plated surfaces. This is a silver plated flute, and it will take lots of the fingerprints off and stuff. I would not do this every single day. Somewhere I had my glove and I took it off. I have a white glove, or you can maybe use your other thing to keep your other rag to keep your fingerprints off. One thing I would suggest you do is to try to keep this tenon clean, and you take your fingers and rub really hard. There's oil in your skin and it's very rough, and you can clean this just by rubbing fairly severely in where it goes. I'm going to take my pinky and stick it in here probably once a week. Maybe once every 2 weeks. Sometimes I do this and my pinky comes out black. This is a metal to metal airtight fit, so it should go nice and easy. If it's too loose, like this one it's been around for a while, it's a little too loose, I can expand this head joint. We can make that fit nice. There's a tenon here for the foot joint. I just take my thumb and rub around there really hard to clean it. Here's the foot joint. I take my thumb is nice and fat, fits right in there. I can see a little black. That's just dirt, and any dirt gets in there, it'll make it fit fairly loosely. So I have a tool that I can expand this if it becomes too loose. It should fit nice and easy and not come off. So, polishing your flute, I would just be really careful that you do not rub your fingers on the edge of the pads. You'll see sometimes they'll be fuzzy and the skin is torn. Once the skin gets torn past where the flute key sets on the stack where it seals, then your pad's going to start to leak. So be careful you do not rub your skin on the pads themselves. Just be really careful. Go around there. I mostly wipe off the top of the keys, and just be careful and go up and down the flute a little bit. I would not leave this rag in your case. It has chemicals in it. You don't want it laying against your flute all the time. But I keep one of these at home, maybe once a week. Try to get most of the fingerprints off, especially the lip plate gets dirty, where your lip is on there. And wipe off your flute once in a while. Always dry it every time you get done playing. And be really careful. It's made of brass mostly, silver plated, sometimes silver nickel plated. So it's a very soft metal, and if you bang it on anything, you can bend the keys, put dents in it. Be careful. It's a beautiful instrument and will play for a long time if you take good care of it. Thank you very much.